Welcome to Defining Dad Bod, where my dad, Coach Alex Van Houten, posts his 14 years of experience to work for you. You should listen to him. Here's Pretty Beast Mode. Who knows who we could be if we could become 1% better every single day.
What is up, guys? This is Alex Van Houten with Defining Dad Bod. I hope you're doing super well. You're listening to Season 3, Episode 5 of Defining Dad Bod, Building Your Own Home Gym. Because with all the changes that have happened in the world, it turns out gym equipment is actually worth its weight in gold, and many people are looking to establish the convenience and consistency of getting great quality workouts at home while saving on their monthly gym membership. I've tried to cover this question well in multiple live Q&As in our Defining Dad Bod Inner Circle, but I've never taken the time to talk about it in full on a show, and so here you go. Before we get to the show, some food for thought, or a brain vitamin, as one of my clients likes to call it. One of the guys I follow on social media likes to do discussions regularly, and he asked, does the past exist? What about the future? And as you can imagine, the hundreds of comments that followed were pretty interesting, ranging from explanations of quantum mechanics to esoteric Buddhism. And while normally I don't engage in posts like that, something was on my mind that I wanted to get off my chest, and thankfully this time it wasn't that argumentative. You see, on this show, I've worked very hard to lay out and explain the positive and powerful benefits of nutrition and exercise change. Not only have I laid them out, but I've argued that they affect us at the deepest level of our biological being. And while research is currently growing to support this, I found this question to be particularly relevant. Does the past exist? Well, at a biological level, there are parts of your DNA that you have unlocked because of choices you've made in your past. Similarly, there are parts of your DNA that have been unlocked because of things you've experienced in your past, whether or not you've had a choice in them. Which means that the way that you manifest right now, the present person listening to the sound of my voice, could actually be said to reflect your past experiences that have unlocked portions of your genetic code. Similarly, there are parts of your genetic material that have yet to be unlocked. You could say that's your physical potential. Maybe you could be more clear-headed. Maybe you could experience more peace and more joy. Maybe there's a more muscular, less fat version of you locked up in your DNA right now. Who knows? But it could easily be said that that genetic potential is the future. And so here's the food for thought. The past and the future both exist right now, and in a way are kind of wrapped up in you. What's really powerful is the conscious ability right now to make the most of what's been unlocked and to keep working to unlock better. That's your food for thought. I'll keep munching on it. Now, let's get to this discussion about equipment for your home gym. So you've decided to do this whole working out from home thing, and you're committed enough to invest some money into getting the equipment that's going to help you make it efficient and effective for you. Awesome. Today, my goal is to help you think through and prioritize the equipment that you're going to need, while also discussing some of the pros and cons and nice-to-haves. I've built this discussion in a way to take my 14 years of experience with clients and the goals that they're generally working toward, and prioritize the acquisition of equipment in a way that will help them grow into it. I mean to say, there are literally thousands of different pieces of equipment you can invest your money in, and I hope here you get an idea of where you should start and different ways you can enhance your workout experience and effectiveness. As always, if I bring up something here that you have a specific question about, ask it in the inner circle of Defining Dad Bod. If you're not already a member, go to definingdadbod.com/inner circle. It's free to join our online community, and you can ask any of your pointed questions there, as building your own personal home or garage gym can be a very highly individualized process. The last thing I'll say as a caveat is my personal health and fitness goals, which is to gain and maintain great lean muscle tissue throughout my lifetime, stave off injuries, keep good cardiovascular health, and keep my body fat percentage low so that I can look good doing it. Those goals are definitely going to color this conversation because they're the lens that I see your workout program through. So if you in particular are training for a large endurance event, or maybe you're trying to lift heavier, or you have some special considerations around medical history or injuries, that could certainly change the priorities on this list for you. Again, if I can be more helpful in your individual journey, ask those questions in the inner circle. So here we go. First, before we get to the actual list of equipment, can I just tell you how much I love working out at home? Look, I've worked out everywhere, and I do mean everywhere. I've exercised in an old converted warehouse with nothing but punching bags and calisthenics, in a small room with a bunk bed, and a 3-foot by 5-foot area to lift my weights in. I've worked out in a large, state-of-the-art Olympic facility, a grungy, run-down mom-and-pop gym, a rural 24-hour fitness, driveways, mountaintops, forests, and in CrossFit boxes in the Dominican Republic. And so when I say working out in my own home gym is my favorite, it's a pretty big statement. There's some pros and there's some cons to the whole thing, and I wanted to make you aware of them. First, the cons. In my trainer opinion, there are 3 cons to working out at home. The first is the energy or feel of the place and the lack of an audience. I don't mean that to sound vain, but it's a true statement. When you're working out at home, there's no fanfare, nobody's watching you, and you don't get the added energy or benefit of social interaction. Now for some of you introverts out there, you're like, great, when I put my headphones in, I don't want people talking to me anyway, and I hate it when people watch me work out. But among the general population, studies are very clear that when we know somebody's watching us, we work harder and we perform better at whatever it is we're doing. You just don't get those benefits in your own home gym. And so my advice is to replicate the experience as best you can and as meaningful as you can. Increase the energy by opening the windows, turning on more lights, and making sure you got some awesome music. And get your brain thinking psychologically along the terms of your audience. For me, if you've seen my garage gym, which is posted as the image for this particular podcast, I've got my spirit animal, Goku, watching. I have 2 mirrors set up, which is not just because I like to see myself flex. No, seriously though, we'll talk about that in a second. And as often as possible, I invite a workout buddy, and or my wife if she's willing, so that positive social atmosphere is bolstered, even if just subconsciously. We all work harder when we believe somebody's watching, and recreating that in your home gym can be an important part of overcoming this con. Another con of working out at home is distractions. When I trained in the gym atmosphere with a team of trainers, one of the things we used to tell our clients is, look, most of the battle is just getting here to the gym with your gym clothes. And that was true, because whether it was before work, after work, or during your lunch break, if you get to the gym with your gym clothes, there's really only one thing for you to do, and that is put your gym clothes on and go work out. But at home, that's not the case. Let's say you have your home gym in your garage. That means you're only 10 steps away from doing 100 other things in your day. Laundry, more sleep, making breakfast, helping with the kids, work calls, or that stupid pipe that needs to be fixed. There are so many other distractions that could take you from your workout in the home gym setting as opposed to the big gym setting. And if you think buying more gym equipment is going to make those distractions easier to overcome, you're wrong. If you're going to overcome this con, these are conversations that need to happen with your family and some psychological barriers that you need to put up for yourself. If you're working out from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m., that also means you're making a commitment not to leave your workout space and to completing that workout before you move on to anything else. I know it's hard, but that's part of the game. The last con worth mentioning, which is particularly relevant to those of us who work out in a garage, is temperature and air conditioning. I set up my home gym a while ago, and let me tell you, there's nothing more hot and humid than a garage gym in an Arkansas summer, and there's nothing colder than a steel bar or dumbbell that's been sitting in your garage overnight during the winter. It's important to note that there are many things that might stand in the way of your workout, and when we're talking about getting good equipment for your workouts at home, make sure you keep in mind that removing the obstacle of temperature, or at least making it bearable for yourself, will be an important part of making sure that your workout equipment actually gets the use that you intended when you bought it. Maybe a fan, portable air conditioner or heater, or all of the above will be an important part of creating the atmosphere you need to be successful in your home gym space. That doesn't make you a big baby, by the way. It just makes you a realist. And who knows, maybe with a little training and stubborn grit, it won't be that big of a deal, but it's definitely a con of your home gym setting, so plan accordingly. Wait a second, Alex. I thought you said you loved working out in your home gym. Why did you start by telling me all the things that suck about it? Well, I like to get the suck out of the way. We'll embrace it, and now we'll talk about the good stuff. First, as much as working out can be a huge potential for distractions, you really can't beat the convenience. You know what I hate? Spending 40 minutes of my potential workout going to and from the gym, wrestling with locker space, a stinky shower, and having to figure out where and when I'm going to eat. Well, that's not a problem with a home gym. You can't beat the commute, the kitchen's just down the hall, and you have all your clothes, shoes, socks, underwear, and even a shower at your disposal. One of the biggest things that I hear from people when I ask what are their obstacles to getting in better shape for themselves is time. With a home gym, you can maximize your time efficiency and therefore increase your probability that you'll actually stick with your program and do it consistently. The second pro to the garage gym in my mind is you get to pick the music. Alright, maybe that's not such a big pro for you. For me personally, music is a huge part of keeping me moving well in my workouts. In fact, I have different playlists for when I run, lift, and even what types of lifts that I'm doing. Maybe I'm OCD or just plain weird, but I tend to deadlift better when I'm listening to Demon Hunter, and Anthony Ramos's One More Time is a really nice thing to play when you have intervals. He keeps saying, 1 more time, and though I really have 4 more intervals to go, it's still a nice thing to tell myself. #true story. Set up a Bluetooth speaker, or put your phone in a solo cup, that's the poor man's Bluetooth speaker, and blare whatever music you want. It's your gym. And if you work out when everybody's sleeping, I know you're relegated to headphones anyway, but at least you won't have to drown out the big gym sound, because you're in your home gym. The next thing I love about working out at home is your clothing choices are optional. Sometimes I like to lift barefoot or in socks. In fact, there are some training benefits to deadlifts, squats, and several other lifts without supportive shoes on. Similarly, here in the Arkansas heat, I like to work out without my shirt on. To me, being able to see the muscles move and do their work makes me more in tune with the movements that I'm doing and helps me solidify the picture in my own head as the stronger version of me. I mean, think about it. How often do you get to see yourself do hard work successfully in a way that makes you look more athletic than usual? Which picture of you do you want in your head? Well, in my home gym, I can wear whatever clothes I want, and no gym attendant's going to come bother my workout and tell me to put shoes on in the middle of my Turkish getup. Last but not least, and this is particularly important as a pro for people who are new to working out, and that is the practice and accomplishment of new skills without an audience. Something I heard so often as a trainer was how afraid people were to try new things because they were sure everybody was watching them and that it would be a horrible embarrassment when they failed. And hey, I get it. Here's something you might not know about me. I suck at handstands. Whether it's the joint instability through my whole body that makes it real difficult to do it, or maybe I've just never worked with the right coach, but I have to be in a certain kind of headspace to want to be in the center of the gym and practice handstands for the next 10 minutes while everybody watches me fail over and over and over again. Because let's face it, failure's part of learning new things. And the nice thing about a home gym is you can fail at whatever you want. Nobody's watching. It's just you. So while the audience at the gym can be energizing, sometimes it's downright intimidating. And so maybe working out at home might be just the push you need to start stepping outside of your comfort zone without fear of judgment from the world around you. Like I said, I love working out at home. And if you're listening to this episode, that means you're considering it or already do it yourself. So I hope talking through these pros and cons have bolstered your resolve and maybe helped you think through some of the ways you might overcome your obstacles. Now, let's get to the equipment. Through the course of this episode, I've prioritized this in a way where we start at the lowest cost for the highest effectiveness. So we'll start with the cheapest, most versatile and effective things, and then we'll end this list with the things that are most expensive but are still beneficial and versatile. And then we'll wrap things up with the nice-to-haves. Along the way, I hope to drop a nugget here and there that will give you a little more insight to the choices and help you prioritize things well for yourself. Like I said before, building your own personal home gym is a highly individual process, and so my list here might look a bit different from yours. One final note before we get to the list. This global pandemic has taught me a lot of things, but one of the things that it's taught me is that gym equipment is always going to be worth its weight in gold. So while right now some of these things might be really hard to find, my encouragement to you is don't stop looking. Manufacturers will upregulate their production. You'll find more and more used items as people who've purchased these things in a panic find that they don't use them very much or don't like them. And just because it's out of stock doesn't mean it's not worth turning on some notifications so that you can be in line when things come back in stock. Alright, here we go, the list. First, the most versatile and important piece of gym equipment that you can have in your home gym, in my opinion, are dumbbells or kettlebells. Dumbbells and kettlebells last forever, and adding one single moderate-sized pair of dumbbells to your home gym will take your potential for workouts from 100 different movements to 1,000 different movements. That's a big difference. Dumbbells and kettlebells can be used for swinging movements, explosive movements, pulling, pushing, pressing, and everything in between. Personally, I tell my clients that they're best off getting a pair of light, moderate, and heavy dumbbells to start off their home gym. Now what's light, moderate, and heavy? Well, it really depends on where you're starting. But for me as a 165-pound man who's been working out consistently for a long time, light dumbbells are 15 pounds, moderate dumbbells are 40 pounds, and heavy dumbbells are 60 pounds. Now wait, Alex, you said kettlebells in there. Which one's better? I prefer dumbbells because in my opinion and experience, they don't require as many hours of practice to get decent at, whereas kettlebells can be pretty tricky for the average person. Additionally, because of my potential issues in my tendons and ligaments for wrists, elbow, and shoulder, I love using kettlebells, but I've got to be very careful with them. And so while I can use dumbbells every single day of the week, kettlebells are something I can really only use once or twice a week without overdoing it. But if you don't currently have any gym equipment, adding 3 pairs of dumbbells, light, moderate, and heavy, will completely change your workout game at home. So I'd start there. Now I always get the question, should I get fixed dumbbells or should I get adjustable dumbbells? My personal preference is a fixed dumbbell, because I hate having to change weights between exercises. Most of the time that's because I'm doing supersets, which is one exercise right after the other, and stopping to change weights every time just gets annoying. So I'm a fan of fixed, but the cons to that are fixed are usually expensive compared to the adjustables, and they take up more room. So if it's worth you being annoyed between sets, or you're not doing a lot of supersets, adjustable might be the route to go for you. The next items on my list are to solve a very important problem in garage gyms. When it comes to calisthenics and dumbbells versus an entire gym that you could work with, one of the most difficult things to do is to work your back properly. A dumbbell press, shoulder press, and push-ups hit your chest and shoulders really well. Squats, lunges, surrenders, and jumps hit your legs really well. But what about your back? There's a very short list of things that you can do that don't require more equipment, and so the next items on my list help you work your back. So after your dumbbells and or kettlebells, I would add a set of TRX bands or elastic bands to your list. Both are useful, and they have a lot more to do with preference than anything else. But adding these to your list will let you do things like modified lat pulldowns, high and low rows, wood chops, and many other things to your workout repertoire. The most important aspect of bands and TRX is that you have a solid place to anchor them. Most sets of bands and TRX come with door frame anchors, which are great, and Velcro anchors that can wrap around things like fence posts or tree trunks. Personally, I installed 3 eye hooks in my garage gym, one at a low level, one at a mid level, and one at a high level, and that took all of 5 minutes in a stud finder. But having bands, either TRX or elastic, will help you ensure that you hit those postural muscles in your back, stave off injury, keep your back strong, and challenge your body in new ways. I have both in my gym because I like the core challenge of the suspension in TRX, but I also have bands because not only do I enjoy the exercises that you can do with them, but they're pretty effective for adding to things like assisted pull-ups or making variable resistance by combining them with a barbell. Which brings me to number 3 on my list. We've got dumbbells, we've got bands, and now I would recommend considering a bench, a barbell, and a pull-up bar. I believe you can get in amazing shape, build some great muscle, burn fat, stave off injuries, and even rehabilitate yourself with dumbbells and TRX, but it's very difficult, not impossible, but difficult, to get strong and grow the muscle that you're looking to grow without a barbell, a bench, and a pull-up bar. Now, compared to what I've referenced thus far, these are definitely the most expensive items on this list, but they are definitely the next progressive steps in building your home gym in a way that you can grow into it. Barbells unlock things like bench press, deadlift, squat, thrusters, and traveling lunges, and a pull-up bar introduces the challenge of suspending your own body weight. These are definite staples for a good garage gym, and no matter how advanced you get in your workouts, they'll always be useful and beneficial. Personally, I have a small adjustable barbell that goes up to about 110 pounds that I can use for smaller weight exercises, while I have an Olympic barbell that goes up to 315 pounds that I can use for the larger strength movements. As far as a pull-up bar and a bench are concerned, anyone will really do, but if you're considering upgrading your garage gym all the way to a squat rack, I would recommend going ahead and inserting that here. And this is the line where things get serious. Up until this point, everything that I've talked about you can get for less than $500. But when you start talking about a squat rack, the price tag can go from $500 all the way to $3,000 depending on what you're willing to spend on it. In my house, I got one that I can fold against the wall and that secures very well into the studs of my garage. It provides a pull-up bar and a place for me to squat, bench, and deadlift, not to mention being a very helpful anchor for my banded exercises. The gap between a garage gym with dumbbells and bands to a garage gym with a squat rack and barbell is quite the gap to cross. But for many people, crossing this gap means eliminating the need for the big gym setting altogether. While I'll talk about a few machines that are nice to have, if you have a squat rack, a barbell, bench, some bands, and some dumbbells, there's very few reasons to have a gym membership at that point. And if you're saving $100 a month on your gym membership for the next year, that basically pays for itself. You do your cost-benefit analysis and tell me what you come up with. But crossing the line between dumbbells and bands, squat rack and barbells, is where things get real in my mind. But if you're at the squat rack level and you're looking to expand just a little further, there are 3 more things that I would recommend from a home gym perspective to make your weight training complete. Again, these are in my personal opinion and revolve around the things that I see in my clients and my personal goals. But here they are. First, I would add a leg extension and curl machine to the mix. Wait, what? That's kind of obscure. Yeah, I know. There are a lot of exercises you can do for your hamstrings and quads that aren't leg extensions and leg curls. However, it's insanely difficult to replicate those in a garage gym without the isolating machine. I've found in many people that I work with who do deadlifts and squats regularly that their hamstrings could use some work, and that if they don't strengthen them, they end up with back problems, knee problems, and hip problems, and a relatively cheap curl machine would have been a great investment for them about 2 years ago. Again, there are some jerry-rigged ways that you can exercise your hamstrings, but without a regular partner, it's difficult to do without a machine. The second thing I'd recommend is a cable lat pull-down and low row machine, or a pulley system that you can connect to your squat rack in order to replicate lat pull-downs and low rows. Personally, I don't have this in my garage because I rely mostly on weighted pull-ups and pull-up variations to replicate the benefits I'd get from a lat pull-down, and T-bar rows and a few other really fun variations on rows to get the benefits I'd get from a cable low row. However, it's been my experience in working with people, especially those for whom pull-ups are contraindicated, maybe because of injury, skill, or weight loss that hasn't been achieved yet. Lat pulls and low rows are extremely beneficial to postural development, growth of back muscle tissue without strain on the lower back, and a stepping stone in the development of being able to do heavy T-bar rows and pull-ups. There's some of those on the market that are cheaper than others, and I'd place this in the nice-to-have category, but it's definitely on the list. And so there you have my list of necessities, in order of increasing budgetary commitment as it relates to workout efficiency and effectiveness. I hope that's helpful to you, and I promised I'd wrap things up with a list of nice-to-haves. So here are some things you may or may not have thought about, or things you thought were really important, but according to Alex are just accessories. First, cardio equipment. For many people, when they think home gym, this is the very first thing they consider. An elliptical, a treadmill, a row machine, and while those things are nice, in my mind they're very low on the necessities list. Most of my clients who have ever started their home gym with a piece of cardio equipment report that it gets used way less than it should, for all kinds of reasons. Unless you have a good reason for it, don't start your home gym with cardio equipment. I'd rather you buy dumbbells, bands, and a squat rack than an elliptical. Wait a second, Alex, don't I need to do cardio to teach my body to burn fat as a fuel source? You said so. Yes, you do. However, unless there's a reason you can't walk up a hill, then a row machine, elliptical, bike, or treadmill are probably not going to do it for you. If you have a piece of cardio equipment in your home gym, I'm not ragging on you. I'm just saying it's a nice to have in my book. It's not at the top of the priorities list. I've had clients get amazing results with just hiking, jogging, walking, yoga-ing, or bodyweight calisthenics that didn't require them to drop $3,000 on a treadmill. So if you have it, great. If you don't have it, think first about whether or not you should invest that money elsewhere, and whether or not that piece of cardio equipment is going to get the use it deserves rather than becoming an expensive clothes hanger. Number 2 on the nice-to-haves list is mats and flooring. Mats for some of that groundwork, yoga, Pilates, or lying leg raises and surrenders, so that you don't hurt your knees and back on your hard concrete floor. And flooring's nice because while you're working out barefoot, it's hard to get good traction. Similarly, while doing deadlifts, if you have good flooring, you don't necessarily need to have bumper plates. At the same time though, depending on what square footage you're looking at, flooring can get pretty expensive. So while it's a nice to have, it's not going to make a significant difference in whether or not you're going to get results. So invest intelligently. On that note, some equipment in the nice to haves. Ab slings, like those that will connect to your pull-up bar so that you can work out with your arms at a 90-degree angle rather than hanging all the time. A Swiss ball, a plyo box, and an agility ladder are all great adds to your garage gym. You could also add a foam roller to that list. What's interesting about this list is it's actually pretty low cost compared to the other equipment we've talked about, and if you're going to use it, it's worth looking into. The last thing I'd add to this list of nice to haves is a mirror or 4. What in the world does a mirror have to do with you reaching your goals? That's a good question, and we could argue about it if you like, but one of the most powerful things that I've found as a personal trainer that helps people do great form in their lifts and to maintain positive focus is the activation of their mirror neurons by watching themselves in a mirror. Learning new movements is difficult, and performing them well is even hard for somebody like me who's been practicing for a long period of time. Well, at this point in my fitness journey, I don't have to watch myself in the mirror to do things correctly. It certainly helps my focus. For instance, my left shoulder likes to ride up into my ear, while my right shoulder stays down really strong during a pull-up. Having a mirror in front of me is one of the ways that I ensure I see that when it happens. Similarly, I have a tendency to overarch my back during a deadlift. My chest is up nice and tall, my lats are locked down, but because I'm so flexible, my lower back ends up in a disadvantageous position, and maybe even an injurious position, in my deadlifts if I'm not paying attention. There's a number of other movements I could use as an example here, but that entire subject might be a conversation for another day. So those are our nice-to-haves: cardio, mats and flooring, a few other accessory pieces of equipment, and mirrors. Now this is by no means all of the gym equipment that there is in the world that you could add to a gym, but it's a powerful start, and I hope this priorities list has given you some things to think about with regard to upgrading your ability to work out powerfully and effectively at home. If you have more personalized questions, like trying to choose between two pieces of equipment, or some injuries that you're working around, I hope you'll shoot those questions in the inner circle, because I think if more of us could consistently and conveniently start and continue our workout programs at home, we would all be in better shape, and it would be easier to incorporate our families, friends, and communities in our journey as well. What about if instead of inviting your friend to coffee, you invited them to leg day? I mean, maybe I'm biased, but I believe I never really know somebody until we have to do lunges together. This has been Alex Van Houten with Defining Dad Bod. Until next time, guys, kick butt, take names.
1, 2, 3, 4.
The free, practical advice and conversations here remain unbought and unbiased thanks to the support of listeners just like you. If this episode's been helpful to you, please share it with somebody in your life who you know it will benefit. Then, subscribe to the podcast and leave us a raving review to tell others what value Defining Dad Bod has brought to your health and fitness journey. And finally, if you want more Defining Dad Bod, consider joining our online community. We send a lot of free perks and resources your way, and I, Coach Alex, go live every month to talk through our listeners' health and fitness questions to make the practical science of this show applicable to everyday life. Everyone's welcome, and we'd love to have you. For more information about joining the Inner Circle or becoming a supporter of the Defining Dad Bod podcast, go to definingdadbod.com/inner circle. That's definingdadbod.com/inner circle.